Okay, today we're going to learn how to flip the classroom. Flipping the classroom entails thinking, what's your normal lecture? Because history teachers, government teachers are usually lengthy in talking, and maybe you have an hour lecture ponied up. And we know that talking is the least effective method of teaching. The most effective is making the kids get into the material and do something with it. And so you think, what of that hour, what's the context I need to present? And what are the key facts, and put that into a 10-minute lecture. 10 minutes, because the kids are going to go home and they're going to stop and start it, and that 10 minutes might become 30. Whereas if you had an hour and they're stopping and starting, or even half an hour, that's an hour and a half, and you might have them read something in the textbook or whatnot, and that becomes almost too much. So you go to a site called screencast-o-matic.com. It's free, you never have to join it, and you push start recording. You get this funky run this time. It may happen a couple times. And then it brings up a screen. You delete your last video, and it gets you this dotted line. The dotted line can be manipulated by putting your cursor in the corner. By putting your cursor here, you get the kind of cross, and the cross allows you to move it. And when you say go, the red button, you get a 3-second, 2-second, 1 second. Now you're recording. When you can restart, or when you're done, you push done, and it allows you then to play it over again. Now you're recording. And then you go to publish to YouTube, and the key here, publish to YouTube, is to write the title, maybe holla, flip video, description. You don't have to tag it, but then at the bottom you go to upload to YouTube, and then it's going to do something called encoding, which is changing the script to HTML, and uploading. If you have a 10-minute video, to encode and to upload will take you a grand total of 10 minutes. And then at the end you will be given a YouTube link. And so you go to YouTube, and you can have categories. So you'd sign in. I should probably use this one, YouTube. Sign in, and you have playlists. My channel to get there, and video manager, or playlists, and then you can make a new playlist. You can see the ones on the left that I've created. So you'd make world history playlists, and to add a video you can use your videos or anyone else's. You simply just add video here on the right, and you just put the link, and you just push OK, and you now have a new video there. And so then the question is, what do you put in your presentation? Well, I usually pony up maybe a couple PowerPoint slides, maybe a picture, maybe I want to show a little bit of a video inside of my PowerPoint. And so you're getting multiple things. You need to have words, you need to have pictures, images that help all the different types of learners. And then the question is, how do you know that they've watched it? So what you actually do is you come up with a Google form, which is none other than you go here to your drive, you go to new, and then Google Forms, and sometimes it's listed under more, and you then write your questions. And so I write my question, and to get, you put your flip video in it. So you go to insert video, and you can, if you put your video in it, you just do URL, because you're never going to find yours. You paste it in, and it appears. If you want to do search, you just do, and there's Charles Lindbergh. I clicked on, I select, and now I have the Charles Lindbergh video inserted in there. Well, then I give it to my kids by doing a live form. That's the link, but it's a bit unwieldy and long, so you copy it. You go to tinyurl or bit.ly, B-I-T-L-Y, if you want to save the links for later. You paste it in, and then you typically will maybe call it tinyurl.com/HollaLindbergh if you want to have something you can write on the board. And then you give it to the kids. But then the question, so then they've written the questions. What I also do is I come up with a Google form where students might put in a question that for something they don't understand. Not all kids are going to fill it out, but you might get 5 or 6 questions out of 30 kids, and that's a great way to start the class by answering their questions. You're also going to get kids who never talk who are going to write questions down because they're not going to be intimidated. It's anonymous, and so that's also involving them because they want to see if you did their question, and you're always going to do every question. The other thing you can do is maybe come up with 5 questions that you wrote, put them on a document, and have them answer it. You want to be particularly careful that you don't just do questions that can easily be Googled. You want to, otherwise why have the flip video? You want to make it something that makes your video useful to the kids and that they turn into you. Another thing I do is after I've done the questions beginning of class, then I say, okay, if you took notes on the video, then we're going to have a quick quiz and you can use the notes so that you're rewarding the fact that they actually watched it. And that is almost always the most useful method, or the one to make sure, because they don't know what you're going to ask. And so they're going to take notes on everything. And then you come to the most important part. What are you going to do in class? What you're going to do in class is you're going to do the things that are hard. So if it was an economics class, this is where they're going to be doing graphs or math problems, and where they're going to need me, the teacher, or peers to help them. And so that's where you run around the classroom. Or if it's history, you think about Bloom's taxonomy, higher level thinking skills, things where they may have to look at links and look up things, but that they're going to build something. So I said if you had an hour lecture and you've only done 10 minutes now in a flip video, what are the other things you want them to do if it's government? So now you want them to look up what are the PAC donations for the people running for the Senate in your state? What are the editorials they've gotten? What do they have on their websites? How many supporters they have? You know, on and on and on. And then they can work in groups, work individually, but you, the teacher, can run around and really give a value added that they're not going to get at home. And then you come up with the final project that they can turn in. And so that becomes your flipped class. You can also manipulate the flipped class. Maybe you have kids who don't have technology at home. I know it's hard to believe, but then they can flip within the class. Or I have ESOL kids, a lot of them are world history class, so they might just be at different paces, and really think how beautiful that is. You could have group A working and maybe they're going slower, and group B is working more quickly, because you've done the lecture and they can go to it any time, and you can run around with different groups. Really, in the flipped classroom, you don't have a desk, you're just moving your butt around the room. That's the flipped classroom. I hope you found this helpful.